It's 8 degrees today in Kansas with a 20-mile-an-hour north wind, which gives -15 wind chill, and it's bringing out the battery gremlins. Let's take a look at this really beautiful Maserati. So this is a 2005 Maserati Quattroporte. It is in very good shape. Only 25,000 miles on it, guys. This does have the dual select transmission, or in other words, the Ferrari F1 style transmission, which means it does have an automatic mode, but for the most part, it's one of those that you really should be shifting yourself with the flappy pedals, as Jeremy Clarkson calls them. The only concern the customer has with this vehicle is he was driving it, the check engine light came on, and at the end of the day, the check engine light went back off. He said there was no drivability issues, it just wanted to have that checked out. And we did get some codes. I'll pull them up here, I'll have pictures. It has opposite gear, invalid signal. Right front external sensor, no signal. We have faulty ignition, invalid signal. We have a thermostat, invalid signal. And we have CAN line error, no symptom available. So for a check engine light, that's really a lot of errors, but really what's going on here, there's multiple errors going on. It just happened to be one of them that would bring the check engine light on. Later in the day, the computers did its system checks and realized, oh, it's actually not so bad. I'll go ahead and turn that back off now. This is one of those scenarios, especially on expensive exotic cars, is where they set the parameters in the computer coding so tight that on a cold day like it is today, and actually all week is so bitterly cold here in Kansas, that if the voltage goes below a certain threshold during cranking or when you first start it up, a whole bunch of different modules and things say it's basically the end of the world, everything's falling apart, watch out, you're gonna die. When really it's just the battery's weak. And this really freaks people out. This can happen on Volkswagen, Audi products, Mercedes-Benz, any of the newer cars that have lots of modules. They are very, very picky about battery voltage. During cranking, like I mentioned, it drops down to 11, 10.9, and then it comes back up again. And we get all those crazy, crazy errors. Let's go back to the boot, or the trunk as we call it here in America, and I'll show you what we found. Look, Mrs. Wizard, it's Dr. Love.
Whoa, it must be the love machine.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but let's go ahead and open the boot. We have the battery access panel out of the way. Here is a battery, and it is a interstate AGM battery, but if you look right here, we have a date of April of 2018, making this battery right at 4 years old. The typical lifespan of a battery can range anywhere from 4 to 6 years. This one made it to about 4, and it has reached the end of life. This cold weather really pushed it to its brink, and it may be in warm weather, it'd be fine and it'd get them by through the summer, but why risk it? So we're going to be putting a new battery in this vehicle and take care of this issue, but the way that we found out that it was bad is using our Midtronics DSS 5000. It has all kinds of different options, multimeter, after a new battery install, out of vehicle test, in vehicle test. We did charge the battery for quite a while, and then we used the DSS 5000 and ran our test, and it said, fail, that's a junk battery. But if you measured it with a voltmeter, it said 12.2 volts roughly. But Daniel's son said, that doesn't mean anything. He says, watch this, I'll go get the tester. He put the tester on and failed big time. It dropped down in the 10 volt range. And that right there is exactly what triggered all these crazy check engine light, ABS light, traction control, transmission on various different makes and models. It can make it look like a Christmas tree in your car. All kinds of things go wacko. Mrs. Wizard actually had on her Maserati this morning, it was so cold, near zero this morning, that her tire pressure warning light came on. And you think, oh my God, something bad has happened. It hasn't. We all know with air that they expands with heat and it contracts with cold, and it contracted enough that the pressure actually drop below the threshold. And the threshold is also on that car very tight. I mean, it's just a little bit low. Bam, the light's on.
It got down to 29 pounds. It was fine.
Yeah, it's not a big deal really, but I'm glad it lets you know that something's going on. So that's the scenario here as far as why did the check engine light come on and then it just went right back off later in the day? And it all came down to the battery. This is one of those scenarios you take it to a mechanic shop, you really could get hung out to dry pretty hard. Oh, your check engine light was on, it needs this sensor and that sensor and it needs a top end rebuild and it's going to be $7,000. You need to be careful about that, guys. Very careful. Luckily, all we need here this time is a battery. We'll get it in, it'll be solved. So being that that situation has been figured out, a solution found, let's go ahead and take a look around this thing and inside. It is so beautiful. I love these Quattroportes of this era. Doesn't it have a happy face, Mrs. Wizard?
It does. I love the front end of a Maserati.
I really do like the front end of these. In 2010, 11, somewhere around in there, they did a facelift, and I really don't think it looks as good as these older models. Here we have venti ports, and a lot of people will say, oh, that looks like a Buick, Oldsmobile. They're trying to copy them. No, they're not. They've been doing this long before them. And these are real. If you look through there, you can see bodywork and different things inside of their panels. There's real airflow that really flows through these and exits through these venti ports. Those are not plastic stick-on ones that you find at AutoZone that your vape bros put on their Dodge Rams. That's real. So, I love the flowing lines as you go down. It's a long, sleek car. Beautiful. On the back again, we're at the Dr. Love tag. We don't worry too much about tags here, hiding people's tag numbers, because that is public information, and everywhere that they drive, that is blaringly out for the public to see. So that is not a worry here. I do like the rear end too, of the tail lights on these. It has like slashes. It looks very good. Let's go down and see what we find on this side. There's a little bit of dirtiness for where they drove it up here, but otherwise it is in very good shape. Remember, it's only 25,000 miles on this, and it's a 2005. I've not seen one with that low of miles. It's really, really kind of a treat. Let's get the bonnet opened, or the hood. Are you ready to see a Ferrari-based engine, Mrs. Wizard?
It's going to look a lot like mine.
Kind of. This one's a V8. It's F136 based engine. It is not a flat plane crankshaft like a true Ferrari. It is cross plane, like your typical V8 engine. There are some differences like that, but the block and things are pretty much a Ferrari engine. Even being so, with a good exhaust system, these do not sound like a Hemi or a LS-based V8. They have their own distinct, very snarly Italian sound. They sound very good. I love them. Again, these aren't too hard to work on. You can get to all the coils, you can get to the valve covers fairly easy. All this plastic comes off and you can access the radiator, hoses, pipes, all kinds of things. Really, they're a pretty good engine. I haven't heard of people needing tons and tons of major repairs. 100,000 miles shouldn't be a problem on one of these. These roughly have, I think, 390 horsepower, somewhere around in there. But it's way high in the RPMs. It's not down low. It's one of the complaints about these engines is down low, they seem kind of weak. But kind of like a Ferrari, you really got to rev it out to get the power out of it. So now that we've seen the beauty under the hood, let's let Mrs. Wizard show you the beautiful interior.
So here we are, ladies and gents. There's a lot of really beautiful leather in this car, but as you can see, 25,000 miles. He's right. And this car is going to show just like it was off the showroom floor. As we look up there at that dash, it is all leather with matching stitching on it. It's called Palomino, and here the camera may distort it, but it kind of looks like salmon pink and tan mixed together a little bit. So it's not quite a pink, it's not quite a brown, it's somewhere between the two. does have some really cool woodwork in here. Look at the diagonal lines above the glove box. We've got diagonal lines, some go this way, some that go this way on the front. And then it's got even some lighter colored wood along the trim. So it's got some seriously nice woodwork going on in this vehicle. As we scroll down, you'll see we have the very simple, I'm going to put it in forward mode or reverse mode because, as Wizard said, this has flappy paddles, which we can see just right here. Nice little wings back there, but they're hiding back there nonetheless. So it even gives you a nice up and down mark so you don't get confused, I guess. As we look at the seats, they are that same matching leather color that we have all over the rest of the car. The door cards have that as well. They're okay. They're soft, leather-wise, and soft to sit in. Not a huge amount of bolster in them, but again, this isn't a race car. This is a luxury car. As we move to the back seat, you can see it looks amazing back there, and that's probably because it only has 25,000 miles, and probably nobody's really sat back there, so it's in really great shape. As we slide up, headliner, looking good. No rips, no tears, no marks, nothing like that. Obviously, got a few masks still up there. Simple controls in our overhead area, and another little overhead area here for lights and whatnot. But pretty simple, being that this is an 05, it does have, not quite the amenities that we're used to in some of the newer models. As we line up back up at the steering wheel, we'll see that it does have a cover on it. I'm not sure. We don't obviously take off customers' interior accessories, so we don't know what the reason for that is. It is nice. It is a leather. It is actually pretty soft and comfortable to hold. Feels pretty good, even though it is, as you said, 6 degrees out there, and I've got my gloves on because it's not is super warm here in the shop, and it gets cold holding a camera while we're filming. But it does feel pretty soft. It's got some bling on it as well, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. Nonetheless, enough of this interior talk. Let's get this up in the air.
One thing I'm going to show you guys that is kind of a downfall on the dual select transmissions is not only that the shifting is kind of slow or the drivability of it, but it's also when it's time for a clutch. It's just like a C5 Corvette, C6 Corvette. The whole back end, everything has to come out. And let me show you guys, but we'll get to that here in a minute. Here's our little cover that covers where the radiator and everything is. Luckily that's nice and dry. And from back here we can see our steering rack is so easy to get to. If there were issues with the rack, it's just right there. You don't have to pull the engine half out to get to it. It's very simple to work on. We don't see any leaks going on there. We'll check these wheels. The pads are very, very thick on it still. Those are Brembos, factory Brembos. The shock is not leaking. Sway bar link is nice and tight. We'll go to this side. Brake pads are thick. Shock is nice and dry. Here's a ride height sensor for the headlights probably, or the suspension system as well. Our sway bar link is nice and tight. Here we have the bottom of the engine, and it's not an oil pan like you would normally think. It's a dry sump system. So we have an oil reservoir that holds the majority of the oil. This is very similar to a true Ferrari as far as being a dry sump. As we get here to the transmission, there isn't one. There's nothing there. It's just a bell housing and a long tube. Here's our exhaust. Usually guys from here back will put an exhaust system and make these things sound amazing. They already sound pretty good as they are, but I love the sound of these cars. You can see that the undercoating under this car is completely everywhere. A nice rubberized coating to protect from corrosion. This is the large torque tube. It goes all the way down. And here do we get to our transaxle. This is where the transmission and the differential is. Here's the solenoids and things for the dual select to actually do the shifting for you. It's basically just a manual transmission, but it has robotics that actually do the shifting for you. So from here all the way up to the back of the engine has to come off to do a clutch. The clutch is up there, but the transmission's back here. But you have to take it all out as a unit and down to get to the clutch up there. So it is quite an involved job. I think they're anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 every time it needs a clutch, depending on other things it may need or whatnot. And that's usually a pretty hard pill for some people to swallow on these cars. They're like, the car's worth 10, 15 grand. It's half that just to do the clutch. Yeah, it is. We'll check this wheel here. There's a little Brembo brake there. Pad looks pretty decent. I'm looking from over in here. Yep, pads are good. Sway bar link is good. The strut is not leaking. The CV boots are not leaking. CV boots are good there. Our brake pads are good. Sway bar link is good. The shock is dry and the boot is dry there. So everything's looking really good under here. Let's check the tires out. So here's our date code from 2018. So they're 4 years old, which is, they're still okay. They got some life left in them. These are nice Michelins. Again, this is not a car to cheap out and put triangle tires on. It's got nice Michelins. Pilot Sport AS3s. Really nothing to speak of underneath there, Mrs. Wizard. Just
No, it looks amazing. It's great.
25,000 miles.
Exactly.
Let's get this thing on the ground. This thing is so nice. Someday I could see myself having a really nice Quattroporte like this. Hopefully with low miles like this one is so nice. The issue that we're having with the battery here is not a Maserati problem. It is all cars' problem. I remember once we came back from vacation, we landed at the airport. It was cold like it is now. And we had an ML350 at the time. I think it was a 2011. And it almost did not start. The battery was nearing the end of its life, just like this one. And the cold weather almost took it under. It pretty much has taken this one under. It did start, but it was very slow cranking, and it finally took off. And we were happy because we didn't want to be stuck there. So how long does a battery last? 4 to 6 years. Most batteries have a date code, like a sticker or something on top of them. You could check under your hood, and if it says 2015 or 2016, you're on borrowed time. You're going to get stranded the next time there's a cold snap. It's time for a new battery. Say, oh, it cranks fine right now. I don't need a battery. That's not the way that you do batteries. When you get to be 5, 6 years old, just go ahead and replace it. It's really worth it, guys. If you have one of those scenarios where it's really slow to crank or almost doesn't start, don't turn it off. Go to the parts store. They'll sell you a battery, and the person will come out and put a new battery in for you. So they usually, like I said, do it for free. Why not? There are some cars out there, though, like Dodge Stratuses, where the wheel well and the wheel and all kind of things have to come off. They're not going to put that one in for free, and we aren't going to either. We're going to charge you to do it. So there's some cars where it's really a pain to get to the battery. This one's not a pain. It's very simple to get to. But keep in mind, you're going to reset your radio. It's going to need the security codes. It's going to do everything your stations, or it could possibly be lost. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. Hoovy was just here. He dropped off the Ferrari to get some boots, steering rack boots on. They're finally in, and he was drooling over this thing as well. It is so beautiful, so nice.
No muffler Newton.
No muffler Newton, guys. The same guy every day. Lets us know his Challenger is really, really loud, and that sounds good. What he just drove by does not sound good. So if you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to fix the battery on this and replace it, which is not very many tools at all, or any other tools in the shop, just like that DSS 5000 from Medtronics, click the link in the description below. We get a small cut, and we really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button because there is many more videos to come. Thanks for watching.